Okay, you all good? Let's do it. Hello and welcome to the B2C Lead Generation Podcast. You're listening to the B2C Lead Gen Podcast. My name is Daniel Hopewell here with Simon Laney, and this is episode 83. What should you be automating? We often talk about this idea that you should automate whatever you possibly can to free up some time and, focus on the more important stuff, to building relationships. We're going to sort of dive in today about what that looks like in a practical sense, what you can be automating. But before we do, Simon, let's just focus in briefly on the why. Why should people listening be concerned with automating whatever they can?
This is specifically related to data, right? Like data is just beautiful to be able to automate. Some things that you can't automate.
Washing up.
Yeah, tell me about it. What you can put in the dishwasher, you want anything that needs to be washed up, it has to. It's a bane of my life, by the way. I'm always in trouble for not washing up or washing up whenever I'm at home. But really, data, because of the nature of what it is, it's a real person, right? We all know that, or if you verify it and qualify it, they can be your customer. It's a real person. But because of the way they exist in systems, they're basically made up of ones and zeros, and that is all primed to be automated. There's absolutely zero reason why you wouldn't. And the reasons for automating are, you want to reduce your costs because any sort of manual work carries time that has a cost. It decreases your overheads. So, you might either need less staff or have the same staff that do other jobs. And so you could potentially make more money. Automating things, and especially when it is in relation to data, is often or virtually always 100% more reliable than people. That it doesn't feel time, it doesn't get tired, it doesn't make mistakes, just like it literally is a machine doing the same things over and over again. But as you mentioned at the top, what this is really about is time. There's a few jobs that people wouldn't ever consider doing manually now, that you probably used to be manually, I don't know, like walking miles instead of going in a car and things. And automating anything to do with data is kind of similar. It's just to do with this removal of time and this cold hard reliability that gets data processed. And I'll give you like a real quick example of something that I experienced 2 weeks ago. This is a genuine story that I had. I was just telling someone earlier about this. We had a new client come to Databall, ran through a demo, did absolutely everything. They're really happy with the system. Did the whole setup. So as part of the onboarding, we said, okay, where's the data need to go? And we were thinking it was going to be API setups, but they wanted to have a task that delivered data on a CSV out to their clients for whatever reason. So you can do that. So we set that up and it automated at like 9 a.m. every morning, whatever it was. Now, within 1 day of running this, they contacted and said, can you export this as an Excel rather than a CSV? And so I was like, why? And they said, because the client wants it in an Excel rather than a CSV. So I said, well, you can just go like file, convert to Excel, right? I was like, it's like literally 2 clicks. And is it 2? Yeah, I think it's 2 clicks. And they said, oh no, our clients, they really, really don't want to do that. And they're not. This is a genuine conversation, by the way. I am not making this up. This isn't like there's no meaning behind it. It's just me telling you a story. No, our clients don't want to do that. They, I struggled to tell them how to, I don't know what it was, open an Excel spreadsheet or something. So I was like, look, I could actually even do you a video and you can send it to them of how, the 2 buttons you need to press in order to convert it to a CSV. And they said, look, if you can't convert this instantly as we download it into an Excel, we aren't going to work with you, right? So I was like, look, we could develop it like fairly easily that we could download this as an Excel, but I'll be honest with you, it's going to go there's a few things that we want to work on before doing that, because this is so easy. It's like a bit of a non-problem for you to work on. So we were like, look, we're going to leave. So I thought, right, I sent her a message and said, look, I'm really sorry about this. we'd like to keep you on the climb, but if this is you're gonna leave over this, then let's leave on good terms. So I said, can I speak to your client and like, can I just verify what on earth is going on and see if I can help in some way? So you just put like sure, and that was it. So I contacted the client and said, I understand that you want a sheet in Excel. Is there anything I could help you with? Like, what do you do with that Excel? Bear in mind, this was going to a brand, right? So this is like, it's not in the UK, it's a different country. It's a reasonably big brand. And so in my mind, I was just like, what the fuck are they doing with this data? Like, why does this person need it in Excel? So there's a little bit of a language barrier, but it turned out they were saving it as an Excel, sending it to someone else in their organization, who I believe was converting it back to a CSV and loading it into a platform. This genuinely happened. And I just like, what, this stuff is just crazy. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, the problem is that person sat in the middle dicking around with Excel spreadsheets was the one causing all the problems. If we could basically, and I don't want her to lose her job or anything else to happen, but this is the sort of classic thing of where automation comes in and you can see the time cost and the real cost. And this is like, the way we've always done it, with this weird archaic thing that they've probably been doing for like 15 years. And that might be like her whole job. And she's not going to say, oh, yeah, I don't want to be opening stuff in Excel anymore because I won't have a job. Like, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, this is something, and this is quite an unusual thing, but these sort of practices, and whether it's something as weird as that and basic as that, but these sort of things exist in companies. There's these sort of bottlenecks, almost appendixes that exist, where time just like evaporates and someone's doing something that just makes zero sense. And really, all of that can just be 100% automated, and it'll be a lot more efficient, a lot more cost effective, and just speed everything up.
It's interesting when you were saying before, the world as a whole, people are automating as much as they possibly can. We're not going to get into the realms of analyzing that in a wider sense, but in a marketing sense, it feels especially helpful. I don't know whether that's just because I'm a marketer, but like the amount of people I speak to, people listen to the show probably, who just, and I think one of the most prevalent, overwhelming feelings amongst people in marketing is that I don't have enough time to do everything I want to be doing. It feels like the common thread. Everyone's like, I've got like so many ideas, but I'd like, I always say to you, it's like, well, yeah, I can do this, but I have to give this up. It's like that. It's that constant battle of spinning plates because so much going on. So it feels like automation in marketing sense is just more important than ever because it just it's such a difficult challenge we face. People listening will probably understand that we really need to free up the time to focus on the more important stuff, the stuff that only you can do.
Yeah, and this is the thing with time, is that not everything can be automated. So some creative tasks, could be difficult to automate. So, for example, every day I write a post on LinkedIn, to try and sort of help people understand how, movement of data and data orchestration and lead generation and lead distribution and verifying qualification, a bunch of other shit works, and my thoughts about it and whatever. And I can't automate that. Like, I have to sit and think what, a lot of time I have a video associated with it, and it's, you can't do it. Or creative tasks that are to do with design, you can't necessarily automate this stuff. It's it takes time. Or doing a podcast, but anything outside of that doesn't require this sort of like creativity or this ongoing thought or a relationship being built, and especially where it relates to data, at any time that you can buy yourself that efficiency, that reduction in overheads, that cost efficiency, yeah, you should, it's only, this is the way we've always done it that ever stops anyone doing that, I suspect.
Well, I think there with thoroughly established the why you need to be automating. So let's move now on to the what. Let's try and, I don't know, I'm sure there'll be hundreds of other things we forget here, but off the top of your head, let's try and put together a little checklist of things people who are listening, who are either buying leads or selling leads on, should be automating so they can free up on the more important stuff.
Yeah. So in the example I gave earlier about the person dicking around with an Excel spreadsheet, leads in or data in, however you're going to do it, should be automated. You can set this up via APIs so that you can receive data. If it's a form that you're running on an ad or wherever it is, that data can be inputted in virtually any system that you're running on in the entire world. So whether that's your own site that you've built, WordPress, Unbounce, data bowls, landing page, could be absolutely anything. Every single one of them, you can just output that data from the form and also run verification on the form into wherever it needs to go. So whether that's something like Datable, like a lead distribution system, whether that's into a CRM, so Salesforce, HubSpot, whether it's into a dialer, whatever else, all of that can be 100% automated. And as part of it, you can verify the lead automatically in real time, qualify the lead in real time. All that data can be standardized and normalized. These are the things that people mess around on spreadsheets with, right? Just like doing these sort of weird little tasks, which serve a purpose if that's the only place the data exists, but otherwise. And the distribution as well. So, if it comes into a CRM, does someone access it in the CRM? Does it go out to a dial? Does it go out to an ESP? If it comes into a lead distribution system, are there webhooks going out? Is it sending a CSV somewhere? Is that all automated? Feedback loops. So once it's gone into a sales team or wherever it's going, are there feedback loops updating the marketing or lead generation process so they can react in real time and start to optimize those processes? Is everything with tracking and reporting automated so that if you have a feedback loop with what success looks like on it, you can just literally click a report by every single source at a granular level that you're running reports at and go, that's where we need to spend more money. And that is the point where it then moves out of an automated process into a manual process. Because at that point where you go, that's where we need to spend more money, someone needs to do something. So whether that's optimizing Facebook to, use that one ad or series of ads that are performing really well, or whether it's going back to a lead generator and saying, these subsources within it or this thing that you're doing is the thing that's working. And that then becomes like a relationship thing. Obviously not a relationship with Facebook, but it's the relationship with the prospects that are on Facebook or the relationship with the lead generator. And the other thing that you can also automate within all of this is the lead nurturing aspect. So, once someone's data has been inputted and you have like a series of actions on the back end of it, what happens if you can't speak to them? What happens if you don't make a sale? What happens if you do make a sale? All of that can be thought of creatively in advance. So you can write out emails, SMS, retargeting programs, whatever it is. And then once you've done all that work, you automate it all. So really, what you're looking to do is automate everything to do with the person's data. And it means that you can just 100% focus on the relationship that you're building with the person as your time, whether that's sales, marketing, nurturing. It just frees up all that time so that you can just actually spend time on the stuff that makes like an impact. That's the key.
I think that's a pretty comprehensive overview of things there. That was surprisingly expedient as well. Nice one. Yeah, I think looking back on that, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you probably got there thinking, right, I need to automate that. I'll take it off almost like a checklist. But in the short term, a short answer to that is what should be automated. Really, it's everything you possibly can. Everything that doesn't require your personal input, your kind of human touch, I guess. It's sort of where the line draws. Like you said earlier, there's certain things we never be able to automate. We'll never be able to ring up. So, you can never automate building that relationship with someone by ringing them up and talking to them and chatting to them on the phone. But like everything else around that, yeah, just a bit more time, I think, is a nice way of looking at it.
Well, the thing I love about it is that this doesn't stop you being creative. Like this dealing with data and all the stuff that you can do with it that you're automating, it all requires like forethought. Like you have to build something in your own mind, whether you sit down and write down like a plan of what's going to happen, or write it down, or sit in a meeting and communicate it all. This is like a massive thought experiment that is a huge creative process that's going on. But what's great about it is that you can do it that once and then implement it into something that is going to automate it. So it's we shouldn't imagine that it like removes any creativity or deep thought or anything. It's just what you're trying to do is like have it as a one-off and then implement it in a way that will just run. For example, you might make tweaks here and there, but that's really the aim of automation, especially when you're dealing with people's personal data.
Yeah, I think it's the opposite. If anything, it frees up creativity because you spend less time doing the mundane stuff that is stopping you from actually being creative and doing good marketing.
And ultimately, it's great for lazy people because
I ran that advert. Can you remember? I just put perfect if you're lazy.
Yeah, perfect if you're lazy. Yeah. Like my brain's like that. I don't know. Yours could be the same. I tend to look at everything and think, can that just be automated? Like, is there any reason I have to sit here doing this? Like, I'll do it as a one-off and then start thinking, like, I don't want to have to do that again. I do it with absolutely everything. So most of the things that like clients might present us with, it becomes that of like, this shouldn't be a one-off that we're doing. If we can do it in the right way, we'll make sure that it's like repeatable if anybody else needs it.
Before we end this podcast, I feel like I just not really related in any way, but I want to come back to the story you told at the start and just from my own personal interest. Did we keep that client after we?
No.
You lost the client.
Yeah, we lost him. Yeah.
Even after you solved the Excel thing.
No, I didn't solve it. Like they just refused to stop working in that way.
So they carried on.
Yeah, so still an Excel spreadsheet goes to a woman sat. You honestly couldn't make it up.
I was hoping for a happy ending.
No, there's no happy ending. No.
Right.
A spreadsheet goes to an Excel spreadsheet goes to someone. She saves it and then sends it to someone else, and they convert it back to the CSV, and they apply it into a system. It's just. It's mind-boggling. But where there's one, there's gonna be 100 people like that.
Well, that's spoiled my plan of ending.
Thousands.
Ending by saying, well, it's all been solved. Happy ending. We've not got that. It's
not. And the thing is, I mean, we do, when our client said, who was an agency that was effectively sending leads to the buyer, so that's the thing. So I approached the buyer and said, from the standpoint of, even if we lose the agency, but I thought we can retain them if the client changes their processes. So I went to them thinking, this can be like a eureka moment for them.
I assume, yeah.
Where they go, wow, we didn't know you could do this. But no, we were like, no, we don't want to do that. we just want to mess around with Excel spreadsheets.
I love that. You can solve this problem really quickly. No, thank you.
That's pretty much how it went.
Well, yeah. I think that's a nice point to reiterate the need for automation. And that was episode 83, What Should You Be Automating? Thanks for listening to the B2C Lead Generation podcast. Be sure to hit subscribe to hear more from those at the very cutting edge of the lead gen world.